everyone, welcome to a new video. If you are a returning friend, hello, thank you for joining me. If you are a new face here on my channel, I just want to take a second to thank you so much for supporting my channel. And if I haven't introduced myself to you yet, I am Emily and I live here in the Midwestern US. And I am a new gardener. I am also rose obsessed. I have been trying to grow roses here in my garden for the past couple of years with mixed success, but I do believe that I am finally improving. So once again, thank you for being here. And it feels like a little while since I've spoken to the camera and chatted with you guys and given you guys any garden updates, because if you saw my last video, you'll know that I did switch it up a little bit and post a new video in a new series that I am calling the Garden Diaries here on my channel. And these videos, although not super different from my usual kind of day-to-day activities that I love to share with you guys, will be a little bit less chatty, more kind of visually focused, and hopefully just a little bit of extra creativity added as well. But like I said, with all the same sorts of activities: crafting, cooking, baking, gardening, of course. And speaking of the garden, I guess I will just jump straight into updates. What feels like many videos back, I had shown you guys me trying to grow cosmos from seed. Once those seedlings were mature enough, I did transplant them into a large pot here on my deck. And they've been doing really, really well over the past week and a half or so. They've reached full maturity and the blooms are massive. And really excitingly, my favorite Cosmo variety, the Rose Bonbon, because it reminds me so much of a fluffy rose, has just started blooming. So I've got a couple of those right now in the pot that are doing really well. And in honor of those blooms, I would really like to do a little bit of creative arranging. And I got this idea to perhaps do like a sculptural arrangement with the cosmos. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'll show you more what I mean when we get to it later on in the video. The upcoming fall season really has had me thinking about apple trees. Here on this property, we do not sadly have any apple trees that were planted previously to us moving in, and from the minute that we stepped foot here, I knew that someday I would really want apple trees. And so I've been doing a little bit of research about them, and based on the fact that I live here in the Midwest, certain varieties will not do well with the cold. I found a website that sells bare root apple trees, and I was looking through to find one that met my specific needs in my region, but I didn't really have any luck. So I'm still on the hunt for which apple trees to grow. Based on what I've seen online for recommendations, I've seen I think it's called the Jonathan, the Melrose, and the Golden Delicious varieties being recommended. My understanding is that this area as well can suffer with pests and diseases and require spraying, and I'm not the biggest fan of spraying, so I will try to look for the most naturally disease-resistant variety that I can. But my research there is still ongoing, and I would love to know if you guys have apple trees, which types do you have, and also leave me some tips down below for things that maybe you've learned that you would like to share with me as a new grower. And not to get too much on a tangent talking about fruit trees, I am interested in the opportunity of growing as much food here on this property as possible, and so I am very interested in learning more about different fruit varieties that can be grown here in the Midwest. It is a bit challenging given our climate, so if you have any recommendations, or perhaps you live in the Midwest and you grow something successfully, please share it with me, because I am hoping to educate myself more on this subject and introduce as many fruit-bearing plants and trees as I possibly can in the next coming years. So far here on the property, I have introduced an elderberry, a blackberry, and a raspberry plant. And fortunately, we also have plenty of wild black raspberries and blackberries growing here successfully on the property without any required effort from me, which I am very grateful for. But I absolutely would like to keep expanding that, just so that I don't have to take away food from the wildlife. I would rather leave those wild plants to them and sort of create my own edible garden that's just for my family. And I would like to introduce more fruit trees. So once again, if you guys have recommendations or tips, or even a book that you find really helpful for educating on this subject, please share it with me. I would love to hear from you guys. Now, for the most random segue ever, just because we were just talking about fall, I did want to quickly touch on the ducks and how they're doing. The ducks are sweet and happy and doing great. I am not sure when they will first start laying eggs, but we think that there's a chance that potentially it might be this upcoming fall. And if not, possibly next spring, but we will have to see. I am very, very excited to start receiving duck eggs. Obviously, the price of eggs is exorbitant out in the world, but also just to have so many available eggs. They are a massive part of my personal diet. I do eat a fair amount of omelets a week. Yeah, I will absolutely share with you guys when that big milestone happens. Just in case you're new to my channel and don't know which ducks I'm talking about, I have 4 Pekin ducks. Technically, they are jumbo size that I got in the spring, and I have just absolutely loved seeing them mature and come into their personalities. They're all so different. And there's one in particular that's the most friendly, and she loves to get pets from me. Okay, the last update I want to touch on with you guys pertains to the ongoing Japanese beetle battle. I still feel like I have come out victorious. I know I said this in couple videos ago that I feel like I made a difference to their population here in my garden, and I still stand firm in that belief. I have not seen that many of them relative to last year, and none of my roses have had overly skeletonized leaves. I really feel like I was successful this year, so that's very exciting. And my rose slug problem that I was also battling has also been remedied, at least for now. It's very tedious, but for both the Japanese beetles and the rose slugs, I was going around individually, plant to plant, and picking them off or spraying neem oil, which I think was a decent deterrent for the rose slugs. I can't really say for the Japanese beetles, as I don't believe they're deterred by much of anything, but I did see an improvement. And so my roses have been a lot better in terms of just having healthy foliage. Before they would skeletonize, they would have massive holes in them. And granted, there are still some that are struggling with black spot and do have some defoliation, but it is way, way better. Okay, so that rounds out all of the garden updates for today. And I do, as I said earlier, want to work on doing a floral arrangement and take you guys along with me. In addition to that, I also want to try out a new recipe that I found, not in a new magazine that I have. I think this magazine is at least a year or a couple years old. I will share the name of the magazine and the issue with you guys if you are interested, but it is a parmesan and zucchini tart. So I think this is going to be delicious, and it has this gorgeous presentation to it where they've arranged these slices of zucchini in a manner that kind of looks like a rose or petals. So I will take you guys along with me for that as well today. I hope you are having the most excellent day or night whenever you are watching this. Okay, so very quick, random sort of food diary talk real quick. I found a gluten-free cookie brand at the local farm shop that we go to here. And this brand is called Made by Marge. It is the most buttery, gooey, delicious chocolate chip cookie I've ever had that's gluten-free. I adore these. They are on the pricier end, as they are kind of a specialty item. As a splurge treat, they are absolutely wonderful and delicious. And I did see on their website that they sell them online, so I will be stocking up on these. I'll just read to you what it says on the back. It says, "There's something about a chocolate chip cookie that makes everyone feel at home. My delicious treats are made to bring people together and make every moment sweeter. That's why we make every cookie by hand in our Dallas kitchen with real butter, real sugar, and simple ingredients. I hope you love them as much as I do." And I do. I really, really love these. Sadly, it seems like these might not be super easy to locate outside of their website. Like I said, I did see them for the first time at my local farm shop, but aside from that, I've never seen them before. So if you guys are chocolate chip cookie lovers or connoisseurs, or know someone who is and are craving a special treat, I would highly recommend checking out Made by Marge. Just to show you guys a random recent find that I picked up from a local garden center here. That garden center sells a whole bunch of different antique finds and also just kind of some like shabby chic themed items for sale, and this was one of the items that I picked up. It's not an antique to my knowledge. I think it is just a shabby chic kind of urn vase type of thing, but it's very lightweight and I just really like the aesthetic of it, and I think this would be really cool as a vessel for the flower arrangement that I'm thinking of doing today. As you can see, I went and gathered a bunch of thin branches that had died off from the previous year that were just along my fence line, and I'm going to attempt to form these into a circular shape that I can use as sort of a wreath base structure. Now, I'm not going to create a wreath, but I am going to kind of wrap my florals around it, as you will see. Okay, so I've went ahead and grabbed this empty pot, and I'm going to use this as my sort of frame to build the structure that I want. And I'm going to start by adding my branches into the pot to form the circular shape. And I'm just pushing them down gently as I stack them on top of one another. And for some of them that are a bit more dry than the others, I'm just kind of flexing them and working them so that they can bend a little bit easier. Okay, so I have the general shape and structure that I want. I'm going to attempt to remove it from the pot, and it's going to be very fragile. I'm going to potentially, depending on how it comes out, use a little bit of wire to fasten around a couple of areas to prevent it from coming apart. Okay, so definitely if you have more hydrated branches, this will not happen to you, but I've used very dry ones, so they are coming apart. So I'm going to have to shape them and secure them with wire. I've also seen some tips online talking about soaking branches in water before doing something like this. So I'm just kind of forming it in my hand at this point, trying to grab and secure as many branches together as I can into this circular shape. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer to something that somewhat resembles a circle, I think. Okay, while I struggle with this in the background, I'm going to leave the camera pointed on my ducks having fun outside of my greenhouse. Okay, so this is the finished product that we ended up with. Definitely a little bit imperfect, a little bit more thin than I was hoping for, but I am honestly surprised that I even managed to get any sort of remotely circular shape with how dry those branches were, and I didn't want them to go to waste. So here's what we have produced, for better or for worse, and we can now take this away. I'm going to move my little creation off to the side and bring forward the vase that I'm using. In order to get this structure to sit upright and stay the way I want it to, I'm going to use this flower frog and attach some wire to the base structure and then to the frog so that hopefully that weight will hold it somewhat in place. Now I'm going to wrap this around my flower frog to give it that weight that I need. As you can see, the ring is now standing upright, and that just gave us a little bit of extra stability to keep it in place while we do the floral aspect of the arrangement. So I just had to pause for a quick second and show you this adorable squirrel that's running along the fence line. He was really fast, so I didn't get much of him, but you can kind of see him off in the distance there, still going. Back to this, I think I'm going to start off with green foliage first before I attach my cosmos. For the base foliage, I have plenty of fresh mint here in my greenhouse, as you can see in the background, and I think that would look really, really nice on the structure, so I'm going to use that. Additionally, I have some ivy growing inside of my house in a pot that I went and trimmed a little bit, and I think this would look really beautiful. I've gone ahead and grabbed some long strands of mint, and I'm going to try to braid them around this structure. And I sort of want it to be a little wild and whimsical, so I'm not going to braid them too tightly. This branch is a lot of fun because it has several little mini branches coming off of it. Here's what the structure is looking like so far, and I'm going to go ahead and add this ivy in. There is the ivy attached. I have this vining plant that grows around the outside of my greenhouse, so I just went and ripped a couple of these up. Aren't they so pretty? And we're gonna add these as well. I'm really pleased with this foliage base. I think it looks very whimsical, which was the goal. And now I'm going to go ahead and collect some cosmos. And I may also have to add in some roses because you guys know I adore roses. Unfortunately, I just discovered the hard way that that vessel was not watertight. So I did go inside and grab a small kind of porcelain cup because it was really the only thing that would fit inside of this vessel. And I placed it in there, filled it up, and now we can resume going to get flowers. In a highly tragic turn of events, you can see these were the rose bonbon cosmos I had blooming, but unfortunately the sun has taken them and they're quite wilted, so I won't be adding them to the arrangement today, which is so sad, but hopefully they keep thriving and more come soon so that I can use them in a future one. I do, however, have plenty of these cupcake variety cosmos blooming, so we are going to gather some of those. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and weave my cosmos in. There are the cosmos added in. I'm really happy with that. But now I'm going to go hunt in my critter fence and see if I have any roses bloom that we can also weave in. I was able to find one of these gorgeous light pink David Austin roses in the critter fence. So I'm going to see if I can weave her in, and then I'm going to go to the front because I think I have some Windermere also in bloom. Okay, so I went to the front, and unfortunately the majority of my roses have suffered due to the extreme heat the past couple of days, so that is all we have for roses. But overall, I am really pleased with the result, and I think it was a lot of fun to make. Okay, so it's time to try out this zucchini and parmesan tart recipe that I found in this summer edition of Country Living. This is from 2024, so a couple years old now, and I personally think this issue is one of the most beautiful that they've put out that I've seen. I love this so much. Even just from the cover, you can see it's a very vibrant issue and has many, many summer recipes. So this recipe requires 40 grams of unsalted butter, 40 grams of flour, 400 milliliters of milk, 2 medium eggs, 60 grams of Parmesan, 320 grams of puff pastry, and I do not have puff pastry. I have my own crust recipe that I like to use for quiches that I'm going to attempt to apply to this recipe. Next, we need 2 to 3 zucchinis, 2 to 3 carrots, 1 small eggplant, and 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And this recipe is on page 102 of the magazine. I am going to start preparing the dough, and as I mentioned, I use this dough for quiches typically, but I think it would work well for this recipe. And because I'm gluten-free, I'm using 2 cups of gluten-free flour, and then we will have 1 tablespoon of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 2 to 3 tablespoons of ice water, and then I use palm shortening, but you could use butter, and it's going to be 6 ounces of palm shortening. For the first step, we will add in all of the dry ingredients, so the flour, the salt, and the sugar. And for sugar today, I'm using coconut sugar. However, you can absolutely use whatever sugar you have on hand if you wanted to make this recipe along with me. Okay, so now I'll add in my 6 ounces of palm shortening. So now we're going to mix the shortening in, and we're trying to get those sort of pea-sized lumps, similar to if you were to cut in butter. For the next step, we're going to beat 1 egg with our apple cider vinegar in a separate bowl and then combine it into this mixture. Okay, so now we're going to add in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of ice water just until the dough comes together. We'll start off with 2 tablespoons. Okay, and I'll go ahead and add in a third. Now we're going to par bake our tart crust for 16 minutes at 375 degrees. Now that we've par baked the crust, we're going to move on to what is the first step of this recipe, which is to make a white sauce. And to do that, we're going to melt our butter on the stove top and then add in flour and add in the milk slowly, simmering to get a sauce. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and season it, and I'm just gonna add in salt. It also recommends pepper, but me and pepper do not mix well, so I'm just going to add in a little bit of salt. For the next step, we are going to mix the eggs and Parmesan together and then add the sauce to it. We got one with a double yolk. Next, we are going to add the white sauce that we just prepared on the stovetop into the par-baked tart. I do think this recipe was created with a larger tart pan in mind. This one is quite small, so I am only going to use a portion of the sauce that we created. I just brought over all of the sliced zucchini, carrots, and eggplant, and I used my mandolin slicer for this. So I'm going to start adding the different strips. We're trying to get this sort of spiral pattern that sort of looks like the interior of a rose. So I'm gonna do my best to see if we can achieve that. And some of these zucchini slices are a little bit too big, so I'm going to trim them down. Now these carrot slices are a little thicker than I think is meant for this, so I think they would work really well in the outer layer, but on the inner layer they're a little bit too hard to fold. Okay, this patterning with the vegetables looks absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful. If you have a smaller tart pan as I do, I just used one very large carrot, one medium-sized eggplant, and one very large zucchini, and that was the perfect amount to fill this up. The last step before we put it into the oven is to brush on some olive oil and to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. Final step is to, of course, cook it, and the recipe says to put it in the oven at 180 Celsius, which I believe converts over to 365 Fahrenheit, and we want to bake it for 50 to 60 minutes. Okay, the tart is done cooking, and here is how it turned out. I think this turned out lovely, and I'm really excited to give it a taste.